back. Do, take you back.
All right, so we're gonna sit here and talk for about 25 minutes or so. You know what I don't like about those media calls is, don't get me wrong, you can't be rude, remember, even though I've been around, I'm still, how can I put it? Terrell Van, which is my real name, and Fight View 360 are not known. T Street Controversy is known, but not Terrell Van and Fight View 360. So even though I've been on 50 plus of these media conference calls, I'm very lucky for this call to get actually any questions in. So I got two for Abel Sanchez. The reason why I didn't ask Golovkin is because it was going to be some gibberish. You see what I'm saying? So I asked Abel Sanchez because I know he's going to give us an answer that we can fucking dissect, or more so we can understand. Compared to if it was Golovkin and I asked those questions, it would have been some old crazy shit. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to those media calls, one thing I don't like is, and thank God in a way that Dan Rayfield wasn't on there, because it's not that they ask dumb questions. It's just that it seems to be a disconnect that they're not really asking the questions that the fans, or more so the people that are buying the fights, want to hear. No disrespect, but I don't give a fuck about what they eating. Don't give me to a certain extent. I want to hear about what they eating once or twice. But it's like, yo, Chris Algieri ain't fighting. I don't give a fuck about his cod and his motherfucking nutrition and shit. Don't get me wrong, I need that nutrition. I'm a fan of Chris Algieri, but I'm saying in retrospect, or more so in regards to the fight, in regards to the fight, I want to hear some real shit. But anyway, we all know what the issue is. People feel that he's going to get knocked out, meaning Danny Jacobs. They feel he's going to get knocked out because, well, he got knocked out by Dimitri Pirog 7 years ago, July the 31st of 2010, when he had the nappy braids. Then that flash KO, that flash knockdown against Sergio Mora, I was at that fight. It was August of 2015. People are like, yo, bro, your chin is still lame. But Danny Jacobs does have a chance. We've seen plenty of boxers throughout history get knocked the fuck out and come back strong. But, one question, okay, put it this way, I had to pick between those two questions, but the third question, if I was allowed one, which I could have got a third question in, I was going to ask him about, like how he felt going into the ring. I mean, of course, he's not going to say that he's scared, but remember what Keith Thurman was talking about. Keith Thurman going into the ring against Danny Garcia, he wasn't confident. He was talking about shit like, and if I get knocked out, don't you shed a tear. He was talking all that shit like he was ready to be beat the fuck up. I wanted to know, like, if Danny Jacobs felt the same way, or if he's going in there completely 100% confident that I'm going to beat Golovkin the fuck up. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be like those media calls. You got to be really, really careful. And the reason why this media call happened was because I was supposed to be in New York today. It was going to be light work. It was going to be for the media workout. You see what I'm saying? It was going to be the only day I was going to New York. I couldn't go yesterday because I had some shit to take care of for my pop. But long story short, today was the media workout. So since, the weather was real bad in New York, they canceled the media workout and they said, okay, well, we're going to do a media call. This call was just made within like less than 10 hours notice or some shit like that, probably less than that. So going forward in the future, this is something that I said I was going to do 2 years ago. And people already started doing it, probably listening to me. But from now on, when it comes to all these media calls, we're going to stream along. That's my job, right? So we're going to do this for all media calls. And we're going to make sure that when we're on these media calls, we're going to be asking the questions that matter. Because like I said, hey, listen, nutrition is good and everything, especially when you got that IBF day of weigh-in. Nutrition is all good and everything. But, man, I'm sick and tired of hearing from fucking Chris Algieri. You see what I'm saying? I'm sick and tired of hearing from Chris Algieri. So it's like this. The favorite, smart money, just like with Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman, even though Danny Garcia never been knocked out. Smart money went with Keith Thurman. Smart money for this fight goes with Golovkin. And the main reason why smart money goes with Golovkin is not because of their resumes, because if you look at their resumes, Golovkin's is only slightly better. But overall, looking at the fact that Jacobs has been knocked out before, I'm talking about he wasn't just knocked out, he was knocked the fuck out. He was momentarily unconscious. to the point where he woke up and he realized, like, oh, he was like, no. He realized he was knocked out. He had a bad nightmare. You see what I'm saying? So I'm giving Danny Jacobs a chance because he is the most skilled, athletic, pure, young, in his prime middleweight that Golovkin has faced and will face. And every fighter has a puncher's chance. But Golovkin, despite the lack of competition, Golovkin, from what we've seen, even from the amateurs, he has real boxing skill. Now, I've explained many times on these videos like what all these Golovkin fights meant. A lot of people discredit Golovkin because of him trying to be undisputed champion. And it's like this. Listen, it's not the fighters that are clowning him for trying to be undisputed. It's the fans that are clowning him for chasing those belts. The fans or the naysayers are the ones that say, why he keep fighting these bums? Why he fight Dominic Wade? Well, if he didn't fight Dominic Wade, he would have lost his IBF title. He would have been stripped, right? If he didn't fight Martin Murray would have been a future #1 contender for that WBC because Martin Murray was WBC silver at the time. When he fought nasty-ass Marco Antonio Rubio, fat motherfucker. When he fought Marco Antonio Rubio was the WBC interim champion. So basically, he was the WBC champion because Sergio Martinez was injured before he fought Cotto. And the list can go on. I can explain all those fights. The only 3 fights that he really had was Willie Monroe and fucking Kell Brook. But the Kell Brook was a money fight. So it's like this, when people tell you about, well, Golovkin's been fighting these bums and fighting, they're not telling you the whole truth because if you notice, there's this plague or this bacteria circulating around what is boxing media these days. Where it's not that they misinform you, they keep certain shit out, or more so, they don't tell you the truth when it comes to certain shit involving what's been going on with Golovkin. There's this racial divide, and I feel like this. If you're media, that racist shit only go but so far because guess what? Outside of the United States, they don't like you. You're hated outside of the United States. So when you're spreading all this bullshit about, how Golovkin needs to move up and all this type of shit, I understand that. But at this point in time, he's trying to do something that wasn't done since Jermaine Taylor did it, and he wasn't even the one that collected all the belts. Hopkins had collected all those belts. And then when he fought Jermaine Taylor beat him, and Jermaine Taylor was the last undisputed champion in the 4 sanctioned and body title era, which is the WBC, WBA, IBF, and the WBO. So it's like this, right? You just get sick and tired of just hearing, like when I have people come to me and say, well, he only fight these guys because he's scared to move up to fight Andre Ward, and if he didn't stay, if he would have moved up to fight, it's like, yo, where y'all be getting this shit? And then I realized you're getting this shit from motherfucking media members who have a racist agenda. It's like, what the fuck? Don't get me wrong, race has always been like in the sport. But it's like, yo, that shit then got to a point where it's completely out of control because these same people who spit that bullshit racist rhetoric, they have large followings. I'm talking about when you have a large following, you'd be surprised how many people only just watch me and don't go to no other channels, right? So imagine for those other channels that people only watch them and they're listening to that shit and they thinking like they running with that shit like it's the gospel. So for example, after the Danny Jacobs fight, it's very heavily rumored. It's very heavily rumored. And from what I know, it's going to happen. But nothing's official, but it's going to happen. He's going to fight Billy Joe Saunders if he beats Danny Jacobs. Billy Joe Saunders is going to be ringside. Billy Joe Saunders mandatory is fighting for an interim belt. How is he fighting for an interim belt? Is because he took step-aside money to fight Golovkin, or for Billy Joe Saunders to fight Golovkin. So after that, right, you know how many mandatories Golovkin's going to have? You know how many people are going to say, oh, he's fighting these bums? You know how many mandatories he's got lined up from fucking Jorge Sebastian Hyland to fucking Turiano Johnson and all the motherfuckers? You know how many mandatories he got lined up? So his goal is to unify the division, be undisputed, and then fight, only big money fights after that. So he is going to move up. But at this point in time, why would you move up when you're 3 belts or when you're 1 belt away from being undisputed? 1 belt? And you're talking about being undisputed is history. Every boxer's dream. Listen to what Keith Thurman said last week. Every boxer's dream is to be undisputed. Yet you got fans listening to other fucking fans who call themselves media saying, he fucked those belts. He should move up. What the fuck is this shit coming from? Where's this shit coming from? You see what I'm saying? So it's like this. I understand that GGG resume ain't really shit. If you look at Danny Jacobs, he's the best fighter that Golovkin has fought. You know, he's better than Ousmane Uadama. He's better than David Lemieux. He's better than Willie Monroe, depending on how you really, look at Willie Monroe as being a slick boxer. But guess what? He beat Willie Monroe. He stopped him. You know, he's better than Marco Antonio Rubio. You know, better than, look at it. You see what I'm saying? But it is what it is, So now that I'm back, I'm going to be doing, as you know, I'm back. You know, it took a couple of years to get to this point, but we're doing videos every day now. You know, and we're going to tell that shit like it is. You know, and then guess what? As I say in all my videos, the shit I talk about, you can go look that shit up for yourself. You can go look that shit up for yourself. We're going to be here for about another 15 minutes, and then I got to pump out a couple more videos, today, and then work on some shit on the website. By the way, visit FightView360.com. We're updating shit regularly now. Our website is fully 100% operational. You can get your rankings. Oh, the thing about the rankings is the rankings won't be updated until the 15th of each month. The 15th of each month, because see, you want to update them all at the same time. So the WBC, WBO, IBF, and WBA, they don't release their rankings all at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So you want to update them all at one time. Our schedule is up to date. Our news is up to date. So yeah, see that's the thing. This Triple H 1200 says T talking the truth, but he's buck dancing a quarter some channels. But at the same time, when it comes to those other channels, they ain't never did no time before. They ain't never been through the shit I've been through before. So it's like this. You can call me a coon all you want. Where I'm from, on the streets, my name rings bells. And I'm not being conceited or anything, because I'm a hermit and my life is nowhere near all that shit anymore. But at the same time, call me a coon all you want. Like I said, all the shit I talk about, go look that shit up for yourself. I hold no allegiances to nobody, and I'm self-made. You see what I'm saying? But it is true that Golovkin, once he gets undisputed, he's going to go down in history. You know how hard it is to get all 4 belts in this generation, in this day and age? And yet motherfuckers looking at that like it's just some old, the political bullshit you got to go through alone to get that done is enough for fighters not to be able to do it. For example, Keith Thurman wants to be undisputed. You know what he's got to go through? He's still got to go through that WBO bullshit, and he's still got to go through that IBF bullshit. Look at Deontay Wilder. Klitschko was the last person. Klitschko and Andre Ward. Well, Klitschko was before Golovkin was close to getting undisputed, but then his brother had the belt, and then when Vitaly retired, that's when Deontay Wilder got his hands on that belt. You see what I'm saying? When you look at Andre Ward's been pussyfooting around. Sergey Kovalev could have, or Adonis Stevenson could have been undisputed, but guess what? When push came to shove, when it really came down to it, Kovalev team pulled out of the purse bid. That would have been a fight for to be undisputed. He pulled out of the purse bid. Now you got Andre Ward, who's got all 3 of those belts. If he beats Kovalev again, or if Kovalev beats him, whatever the case may be, they'll still have those 3 belts, but then they got mandatories unless they finally make that Adonis Stevenson fight. But put it this way, when you're being undisputed, you are the only champion in the weight division. So, for example, when it comes to all those 154 pounders that Al Heyman has that wants to move up to 160, like Charlo, for example, if you want to be 60-pound champion, or if you want to be a champion at 160, period, you got to go through Golovkin or Danny Jacobs if he wins, or Billy Joe Saunders. What happens with that? So, like I said, you have too many people that do this boxing media shit. They be too emotionally invested. And it's like, yo, why are you so, why can't you give these boxers a fair shake? Truth be told, don't get me wrong. I love the sport of boxing. I respect all boxers. I don't give a fuck about these people for real. I'm not going to be like, oh, damn, I like you because I'm a fan, but I'm media. So when you come to my channel, I'm not going to talk no shit about you. I'm not going to say the real shit. You know how long this shit's been going on? This shit's been going on for like 4 years now. 4+ years now. 5 years now. With this whole racistly fueled boxing media. Shit. That shit gets whack after a while. Because then when you're with the fighter, you don't talk all that shit when you're with the fighter or when you're with the manager or the promoter. But then, you know, behind the scenes, they're racist. You know? Should be whack, man. Should be whack. So then if I do one, you know, somewhat critical, but it's looked at as negative video on Golovkin, I'm looked at as like, oh, you're just like all the other channels that are racist. You're the black guy who's racist. That shit, you'd be surprised how that shit trickle over to my channel. You know, I don't give a fuck about saying motherfuckers' names. I think you already know that. No, the WBO's been legit. The WBO has been legit. When did WBO start? I think they started in 88 or 89. They've been legit since, like, you know who made the WBO really, really legit? Over in the UK. But the WBO is legit. Nah, Triple H. See, here's the thing. Stop disrespecting the belts. In this day and age, you're in the minority. The main titles, whether the WBO is legit or not to you, in this day and age, you cannot be undisputed without all those titles. I don't care what you say. So don't talk about how, like, you know, what belts is legit and what not. In this day and age, whatever you think about the WBO, you have to have that title to be undisputed. You know, don't give me all that shit about, well, Muhammad Ali was just undisputed when he had the WBC and the WBA. That was years ago. But in this day and age, in this era, in the 4-sanction embodied major era, you have to have all 4 titles. No, because the ring is not considered a real title. Put it this way, the ring is not considered a real title. And also the ring has lost so much prestige over the last 3 years. You know, especially since they're owned by Golden Boy Promotions. They lost so much prestige. Because for one, Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia should have been for the ring title. You see what I'm saying? Why does Andre Ward, I mean, did Adonis Stevenson get stripped from the ring yet? I believe he got stripped. You know, so the Ring magazine, you can't really count, like, that don't count towards being undisputed. To be undisputed, you have to have the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF in this era. But the Ring magazine has lost so much credibility, especially the fact that, you know, they're run by Golden Boy, or they're owned by Golden Boy, but yet they have, we're not talking about no other fights. So we're going to keep it on Golovkin versus Jacobs. You know, I'm sorry, High Jump King. The reason why I didn't cover that fight is because I was sick. I'll leave it at that. So in this day and age, you have to have those 4 titles. Now, going back to the Ring magazine, it's like, why does Canelo still have that ring title? And why isn't Golovkin versus Jacobs for that ring title? And listen, the reason why is because they won't strip Canelo because he's Golden Boy. But it is no way that if Golovkin versus Saunders, and I don't mean to keep looking past Jacobs. It's no way that Golovkin's versus Saunders, if it happens for all 4 belts, that should not be for the ring. I mean, it should be for the ring. If it's not, then yo, you know. So it's like this, you know, the Ring magazine title has lost so, you know, they lost a lot of credibility, man, with this bullshit. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, nobody fights for the IBO. Oh, except Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. fought for that IBO. The IBO lost their prestige in the mid to late 2000s. That's when they lost their prestige. Just go look at their website. You know, it's like, yo, who's been running y'all shit? What titles does Lemieux have? Lemieux has some WBO underling belt. He has some WBO underling belt. But also he's ranked very high by the WBC. But the WBC can't screw over Jorge Sebastian Highland anymore. They've been screwing dude over for like 3 years now, 4 years maybe now. They've been screwing that dude over. You know, so they can't screw over Jorge Sebastian Highland anymore. Eubank Jr. got styled for Golovkin in 6 months. Well, here's the thing. Golovkin's got so many mandatories backed up. You know, he's got so many mandatories he's got to fight. You know, so the time has come to an end for that. But we're going to be here for about 8 more minutes. So as y'all know, I'm watching the fight. You know, of course, I'm going to be buying it on pay-per-view. We're going to be covering the card, and then I'm going to be doing a live stream afterwards. I'm going to be covering the weigh-in which is going to be real early that morning. Let me check real quick. I forgot when the weigh-in is. The weigh-ins are a lot earlier than they used to be, especially when you're, IBF. Yeah, listen to this. The weigh-in is going to be at 9 a.m. on Friday Eastern time. So for you people over on the West Coast, the weigh-in is going to be on some old fucking 6 in the morning type shit. But you'll be able to watch the weigh-in. I'll post a link right. Well, go to fightview360.com and the link will be right there for you to watch. The link is right down below in the description box. But the day of the weigh-in, we will be streaming it live. We will be streaming it live. Is Wilder versus Laverne official? No, and we're not talking about any other fights. We got 7 more minutes left, or 6 more minutes left to wrap up this Golovkin Jacobs. So it's like this. I'm going with Gennady Golovkin, but however, I am not counting Danny Jacobs out. The only issue is Danny Jacobs can't fight on the back foot. He's got to go directly at Golovkin. Because those flaws are there, man. Those flaws are there. Those flaws are there. I really wonder, like what fighter in their right mind, takes like 3 shots. You hear Golovkin say that every time Golovkin get hit with a clean shot, what does he say? Well, he wanted to test, his fighter's power. But every clean shot you get in, you try to test, and it's not that many of them. When I'm talking about hard shots, he wants to test the power. So you mean to tell me you meant to take that uppercut from Kell Brook when it almost knocked your fucking head off? So ask yourself the question: what if Danny Jacobs was to land that? You see what I'm saying? You gotta ask yourself that. Goddamn nutrition. That nutrition shit not going. Nutrition. Didn't Chris Algieri, the master nutritionist, miss the weight on the first try against Pacquiao? He did make the weight. Yes, I am watching that Sergey the Rev Yanchenko fight. If Golovkin is smart, yes, he will fight him like he fought David Lemieux. You don't disrespect Danny Jacobs because you want to respect Danny Jacobs' power. I don't care who you are. You don't want to get hit with that shit. You don't want to get hit by a full-fledged husky-ass middleweight and he's a big middleweight too, like Danny Jacobs. Somebody, you want to test his power and shit. You're gonna test your ass to a knockout. But Danny Jacobs' defense, and that's something I should have asked is what has he been working on defensively? Now that knockout loss, it was nearly 7 years ago. Remember, this fight against Golovkin is on March the 18th. He got knocked out by Dimitri Perot in July the 31st of 2010. So it was 7 years ago. He has won 12 straight fights by knockout. And remember, 2 fights after that, after he fought Perot, he was diagnosed with cancer. So beating cancer, it does something to you mentally, and it's like, this is the biggest fight of his career. And also, Danny Jacobs is smart enough to know, like, if you listen to him, he's a very smart fighter. And he knows that if he loses to Golovkin, that he's got to be a champion again. He's got to go back through Golovkin. And also, if he loses to Golovkin, what people are going to say? Oh, well, he was always a bum. He was always, this or that. He's just another Heyman hype job. So if he loses to Golovkin, there's a long-ass road back to a championship for him, unless he goes to 160. But then again, listen, you got Peter Quillen. I interviewed him last week, 2 weeks ago. He's saying that he's likely going to be still fighting at 160. And you got to go through Golovkin. So Golovkin is getting old. How's Golovkin now? He's 35 now? He just turned 35, right? Let me check. No, he turns 35 in a couple of weeks, in 3 weeks. In about 3 weeks. He's getting up there, yo. We have a whole slew, yes, I use that word, of Fight View 360 gear coming before Canelo versus Chavez. Hat, hoodies, different colors, all that shit. So we got a lot coming. But like I said, I'm back full time, as you guys can see. After I in this stream, I'm gonna go make some lunch, then get back, pump out a couple of videos, do some things on the website. play some video games, find somebody to try to shovel all this goddamn snow outside. So you know, we got a lot going on. We got a lot going on. In the meantime, since we got a few more minutes, I'll answer any of you guys' questions. Some more tea. I'll answer you guys' questions. Anything you guys want to talk about in the meantime? Yeah, like I said, we have a lot of FightView 360 gear coming. You know, so I couldn't do it myself, but now that I got help, it's so much easier because I just couldn't, you know, like that website shit. That website shit is, you know, I got it under control now, but before it was kind of overwhelming. But I paid so much money for that website. I paid a lot of money for that website. You wouldn't believe how much money I paid. And then, you know, it's a monthly expense. You see what I'm saying? Do you not need a hardcore title to be undisputed? I don't know what you mean by that. Is that a WWF reference? WWE reference? I understand what you mean by that. So yeah, now we're using, now the website is completely operational now. You know, we're fixing up. There's a few more things we got to fix up. You know, for example, you're going to see a change in a small change in the format, basically for featured stories. We're going to be putting out a press release. The rankings are being currently updated. You know, we're waiting for the WBA rankings have not been updated yet. So once the WBA rankings, I'm talking about like the official WBA rankings haven't been updated yet. So once they're updated, you know, then we're going to update all the rankings on the website. The schedule is already updated. So if you go to the schedule tab on FightView 360, then you'll see that, for example, let's go check it out real quick. Check it out real quick. I gotta fix this thumbnail. Don't worry about the thumbnail. I'm gonna fix this. So, for example, let's see. You know, we're active. You know, and we're gonna pump out more and more news. What we're gonna do with this is gonna be like a slideshow. So therefore, it's gonna have all the top stories, not just these three. Not just these three. So as you see, you know, all our stuff is interactive. So basically, if you see any images, you know, you can click those images and it leads to something. You know, for example, if you go to this, right? For those who want the details on that $50 million Schaefer tournament, it's all right here. You know, we get slideshows and shit. You know, all the information. We get the video. You know, and then if you click this, it sends you right to the World Boxing Super Series website, which will be launching on March the 31st. You know, even when it comes to, let's see, we're going to change this boxing news schedule. Here's the schedule. Right now, you see that fights to watch are highlighted in red. Gotta highlight this one too. Are highlighted in red. Boxing rankings are currently, these are the rankings from last month. I'm going to put a little message up here to let you guys know. And what I want is I'm going to have like different keys that will let you know like what certain colors mean and things like that. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we're getting there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have ticket info for all of the fights. You know, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Ooh, it's a lot of work, but we're getting there. No, we're going to get forms. We're going to get forms sometime this year. It's not going to be anytime soon. So we're going to get forms. But guys, all right, I got some videos and shit to do. I'm going to go make some lunch. The next video on my list is it's going to be about a 5 to 10 minute video. We're going to talk about Kell Brook versus Errol Spence. What's going on with that? We are also going to do a shorter version of this video where we're going to talk about Golovkin versus Jacobs fight week predictions. We did one yesterday, right? Well, we don't need to do one today. What else? There's a couple other videos that I have to talk about, you know, and the plan is to do about 3 to 5 videos plus a day. Now, if it's on a weekend when there's fights, then of course there's going to be more than 3 videos. But during a regular weekday, we're going to do 3 to 5 videos. Because see, the reason why it's not like 5 to 10 videos a day is because I have to balance that time with the website and to make sure I'm not like stressing myself out. So in the meantime, I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. When it comes to media calls, from now on, we're going to be streaming media calls. Yes, I'm going to do that A-value video too today. So when it comes to media calls, we're going to be live streaming them and we're going to make them interactive. So therefore, we're going to play the media calls. We're going to be on them and we're going to ask questions and shit. Simple as that. Please subscribe. I'll link to my social media right down below in the description box. Also, please visit FightView360.com for any news related to boxing. Please subscribe.